So again, this is week 3 of Soul Retrieval. I'm Mary Bell Nyman from Psychic Rising Center. And we're starting by grounding our bodies to the earth. So let your body settle in. And just take a minute to release any energy from the day, the week, anything that's not working for you. It's been a kind of a crazy up and down week. So just take a minute to let go of any of that energy. So you can just find the sanctuary inside yourself, home free. And if you can, it depends on where you're sitting, put your feet flat on the floor. If you can't, if you're laying down, that's fine. And you're going to let the earth energy come up through the arches in the feet, up through the ankles, the calves, into your knees, through the thighs, and straight down that grounding cord. And that earth energy just strengthens your ability to ground and connect to the planet. And you're also just as easily going to bring some cosmic energy in through your head, down the back of your spine. It's going to make a U-turn at the bottom of your spine and come up inside the body. And then when it gets to the top of your head, it'll make a big whale spout about 2 feet up and then flow down through all 7 layers of the aura. And just relax in that energy. And you can take your hand, or you can just see it mentally, and put it in front of the first chakra. That's where your body meets your chair. And clean out any survival energy. Any place it's hard for you to take care of your survival needs, whether it's eating the right food, getting enough sleep, having enough money. Anything that's making it hard for you on a survival level. Just imagine calling that energy out and throwing it down your grounding cord. Any fear, any uncertainty, any overwhelm energy, just releasing it. And you can fill that first chakra in with a color of certainty for you. Could be a nice blue or green, whatever works for you. Just asking your body, what would make you feel safe and certain? And put that color in your first chakra. And then we'll move up to the second chakra, 2 fingers below the navel. And let's do the same. This is your emotions and sexuality. Just calling out any energy that makes it hard for you to have your feelings. Any place you might be matching another person. Any heavy or serious energy. Just releasing it. Sometimes when you're with someone and you match their energy, that energy flows through you, and the body can't tell the difference between your energy and someone else's. So sometimes we're running someone else's energy, but because it's running through our body, we assume it's ours. So just take a second to clean out that second chakra. And again, you can just release down your grounding cord, anything that isn't yours or doesn't work for you. And breathe. And ask your body, what color would feel good in this second chakra? What's your usual go-to emotion? And just put a color in that second chakra that would feel good to you, that's supportive of your life. And breathe. Then we'll move up to the third chakra, right in the solar plexus. This is your power, your chi, your life force energy. And again, take a deep breath. And just any place you've been overwhelmed, or you may not feel like you have enough energy, any place you feel that pull or that tension in the solar plexus, just go ahead and release it. Throw it down that grounding cord. We're all traveling down this road called life. In many ways, it's kind of how you experience it, how you choose to experience what's happening as it unfolds around you that makes a difference. So as you release old tension, you make room for a color or an energy that really works better for you. And ask yourself what that is. What color would help you be in your energy field and your power, having enough life force to handle whatever comes your way? And add maybe a touch of amusement. Sometimes if you can be a little amused, it goes a lot easier. You'll still have the same problems, but at least you'll be able to have a little amusement about them. And breathe. And then we'll come up to the fourth chakra, your heart center, and cleaning that center out. Just taking out any energy that blocks your affinity, the energy flowing through your body. Just breathing. And again, cleaning out anything that makes it hard for you to love yourself, to take care of your own needs. Sometimes it's easy to give to everyone around you, but it's harder to give to yourself. And just cleaning some of that energy out. We're going to be working on some of this tonight. So throw that energy down your grounding cord and find a color of self-love. What would that be for you? What energy would feel good in this fourth chakra? And just notice as we work, the body's getting calmer. We have 3 more chakras to go. So we're going to put our attention on our 5th chakra right in our throat. And just clearing energy. Anything that makes it hard for you to communicate your truth, to express your creativity, to ask for what you need. And just cleaning that 5th chakra out. You can pull out old energy and throw it down your grounding cord. Just taking a deep breath. And giving a little healing to that 5th chakra. And then ask yourself, what color would you like to put in there? What would strengthen your ability to ask for what you need or to speak your truth? And fill that fifth chakra with that color, that vibration. And you can let some of that color run down the arms and out the hands, your creative channels. And then going up to your sixth chakra, right between the brows, your center of clairvoyance, clear seeing. And ask yourself what energy gets in there that makes it hard for you to see clairvoyantly. To see your own energy, your own truth. And release this energy. Again, you can throw it down your grounding cord. Nice deep breath. And this is where you have your spiritual energy, one of the spiritual centers. And ask yourself, what color validates you as a spirit, as an immortal being? What's one of the colors you are very attracted to? There's no right one. And just let this vibration fill that sixth chakra. Giving back to yourself. And then up to the crown chakra, the very top of the head. This is your knowingness, your truth. This is all the information you've acquired through lifetime after lifetime. And so dust off any invalidation, anybody who's invalidated you, saying, hey, that isn't how you do it, or that isn't the truth. Hey, we may all have a slightly different version of what is real. So clean out any invalidation on the top of the head and fill it with your color, your certainty. Giving yourself permission to have your truth your own way. And then last but not least, put that huge gold sun, twice as big as your body, on the top of your head. You can pop it, unzip it. Just imagine liquid gold filling in any of those places where you took out energy with your own life force, your own highest essence. And then stretch, take a deep breath. Come out of that light trance. Excellent. And one of the things we're going to look at tonight when we look at soul retrieval is, how does a soul heal itself? And a soul, it has a really interesting way of what I would call blowing pictures, releasing concepts that don't serve it. And we do this in several different ways. Many times, our last lifetime, we bring 60, 70% of that energy into this lifetime to solve if we didn't resolve it last lifetime. And so sometimes you'll find this huge shift with someone halfway through their life. And sometimes somebody will call it a midlife crisis. Somebody will say, you know, just have this huge energy shift where the occupation they were in changes and they're like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something totally different. That would be one form it might take. Um, a soul sets up a similar situation if it got stuck in the last life. It'll set up the same thing in a different way so that it triggers the old pictures of pain so they can be released and that soul can be free of that pain. And we do this without knowing it. Like one of mine was my last lifetime was in Atlanta. I was one of those little Southern belles, those little hoop skirts. And as a young child, I would wear every petticoat I had. At the time, they were crimson petticoats under my dress at the same time. So it would stand out very bouffant. And there was a hint, although I didn't know it at the time. I was only 3, but here was a hint that that's what felt familiar, was that the dresses being very round around your body. A prissy little thing I admit it. And so it was kind of fun to see all the hints of the lifetime where I finally, figured out what that last lifetime was. And so it's how how a soul heals itself is to recreate it, only in a slightly different way. So one of my favorite people in the world, his name's Gilbert, doesn't live around here anymore. He is one of the few famous people I've ever known. And I've read a lot of people. So most of us aren't famous. We just have ordinary lives, but we make incredible decisions in those lives that lead us to where we are. And he was no exception. He was Sitting Bull, and he had to surrender the Indian nation to the cavalry. And in that lifetime, he became an alcoholic. There was so much pain in him, and he died kind of a miserable death, knowing the fate of the Indians. And in this lifetime, he was a young father with 2 kids, 2 babies, and he lived in a trailer, and he heard his kids crying, and he went in and he couldn't open the door to their bedroom. And they were playing with matches and caught themselves on fire, and that door would not open. He couldn't rescue his kids. And he called the fire department and obviously the police, and they came and they opened the door right away. And so he became an alcoholic. He couldn't figure out why he couldn't open that door. And it haunted him, as it would any parent. And so this man became an alcoholic for a lot of years, kind of mimicking that same level of pain, even though the situations were dramatically different. And again, this man has more of an Indian body, an Indian physique. He wore a long braid. He honored the Indian Lakota ways. And even though he was a white man, is where his attention was on the Indians. And so in this life, that same pain pushed him towards drinking and really towards almost dying. But he was able to blow the picture. When he came to me for his first healing, he was surrounded by Indians, and these were members of his tribe that were still in spirit form, that hadn't taken bodies, that were there to heal him and help him. And so even though a soul can be in total pain, they use the circumstance to heal themselves and release the karma from both lifetimes. So in this life, he was able to take the clairvoyant program to blow the pictures, those pain pictures, and find his energy again. So he was able to heal both that last life and this life. He's doing great. He lives out east. At some point, he cut his braid off and decided, okay, he's in present time. He doesn't have to stay in that same lane. He's actually allowed himself to take some steps forward, and he teaches these same kind of tools and is a great guy. So it's interesting. And usually the lifetimes aren't that dramatic, but lots of times there's so many similarities between the last lifetime and how it influences you in this lifetime. So your concepts of money, of relationships, of communication. All of these things can be a carryover from last lifetime and affect this body just as much as it did in the last one. And when we have these carryovers, what we're going to call them are core pictures. And all of us have about maybe 25 up to 50 core pictures that we come in with. And one might be a fear-based reality. So someone who, I have a sister I love, but she's very fear-based. She's a worrier. She can out-worry the worriest person I've ever met. And so this is one of her carryovers, is worrying, always thinking about what could go wrong. And not a whole lot of things have, but she still is constantly worrying. So for her, that would be a core picture. For somebody else, it might be trust or responsibility, always having to take care of others. I'm just going to give you a few ideas of some of these core pictures. People that can't let somebody go. It's hard for them to let someone die. Someone who always has to control everything around them. And they're learning about their power. And in the beginning, you don't always handle power well. As a young soul, they're some of the ones that are the heaviest power controllers on the planet, and yet they're baby souls. So they're trying to figure out, how do you do that? Especially their idea is more having power over someone versus having their own inner power. So these are examples of core things. And you might ask yourself, just get curious for a minute and ask yourself, what percentage of last lifetime did you bring in this lifetime? And then ask yourself, where does it affect the body the most? Is it survival, emotions, power, love, communication, soul awareness? You had to have pretty much awareness to make it into this lifetime, because this lifetime was like a lottery, and we're changing the vibration of the planet dramatically in these next couple years. So being able to, you could say you won the lottery by being able to be here and be aware. So just for a minute, you're just getting curious. You can think of it as playing a game. What is one of the pictures that has, or the concept that has challenged you this lifetime? What is one core picture you would say that you've worked on? Again, it might be responsibility for others. It might be not being able to take care of yourself. There's so many different, pictures it could be, but just look for yourself. What have you worked on pretty consistently this whole lifetime? Feelings of being enough, having to prove who you are. Maybe you got stuck in victim energy. Just look and find one of yours. And it's interesting, when you blow or release the energy in one of these pictures, it's almost like a rock slam. It's a jolt, a release of energy, and nothing ever lines up the same way again the rest of your life. You shift that awareness and you never go backwards. You always move forward as spirit. So just take a minute and say hello to that concept that you found. And think of one person, if you can, in your whole life that might have had the same issue. Because this is another way that spirit blows pictures, is by reading or observing it in someone else. It's always easier to see in someone else than it is yourself. So maybe if you have victim pictures, think of somebody else in your life that you would consider is a victim. And just admire that ability in them. And yourself. And just imagine putting it in a big soap bubble and popping it. Maybe do another one for it. Same thing. Whatever concept that's dogged you. Maybe you were always guilty if you didn't do something right. Maybe you did it right, but someone else disapproved. Whatever it is. And just find that energy and put it in a huge bubble the size of a soccer ball. You just put a magnet in that soccer ball and let it pull out of your body all of that energy that you've been working on this lifetime, and pop it. And forgive yourself, forgive the circumstance. Find a tiny bit of amusement, because it's usually not funny. Kind of like the Inquisition you worked on last week. And just pull out any place you got stuck as a soul. Just very gently being compassionate with yourself. Just letting yourself know that, hey, what a great mistake. What a great experience. It's kind of like the day in the life of a spirit. We don't always get everything right. So moving that energy so that you have more space to experience it. If you can find neutral in a tiny bit of amusement and forgive yourself, then it's easy to call that energy back. It's like, well, that was a good mistake. Boy, did I learn from that one. One of my best ones I found was in the dungeons back in the Inquisition, and I was taunting my inquisitor. Not really a good idea. So you have to be a little amused at how stubborn you can be, how much you can push the envelope. It's like, well, that didn't go well. And finding that place of forgiveness for yourself. Again, this is the main reason we read clairvoyantly in the center, because this is how you find those pictures. So the minute you sit down in trance and that person sits in front of you, all the matching pain pictures light up. So I'm looking at one of you people on the screen, and I'm looking at my matches with that person. This person's a tremendous healer. He's had a lot of lifetimes as a healer, but very little recognition. And in this lifetime, he's allowing himself that validation. He's allowing himself to be seen. So what a great experience to see this soul becoming brighter and brighter. So it's kind of fun to watch a soul grow into being who they are. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 lifetimes for us to find our certainty and really see who we are. Because each of us are amazing, brilliant, bright lights as spirits. And sometimes it's hard to have that, especially if people around you aren't on the same level. And everybody's got to be where they are. You can't force them to change or to grow. All you can do is walk with them down the path. In many ways, we really can't heal each other. We just hold the mirror, so we really do see who we are. And that's what happens in a reading, is you start to see in that other person the same matches. And so it's your opportunity to blow your own matching pictures. And so that person gets a great reading. But you as a spirit get to blow any pain pictures that keep you from having the same, seeing the same thing. So what you see in another is usually what you have a lot of in yourself. So it's kind of fun when we meet each other. It's like, oh, I know that soul. It's great to see you back again. It's always been fun at the center to watch people walk in and recognize that you know them as a spirit. You may not know exactly what the whole lifetime was unless you really sat down and read it. And for me, I respect people's privacy. So unless asked, I don't sit down and do that close of a reading. But I sure recognize a kindred soul when I meet one. So take another deep breath and find one more of these core pictures, one more of these places where you've had energy that controlled you this lifetime. And again, it could be any concept. It could be from poor health. It could be wanting to have enough power to do what you know, create what you want. It could be relationship issues. Maybe you were male-based for a long time and you have a lot of dominance. Maybe you were female and you were subservient, and maybe you're moving towards equality this lifetime. Whatever it is, just find what it is for you. And again, here's another opportunity. Look around your universe, your world, and see if there's somebody you know that has that same issue. Because when you see it in them, it gives you so much permission to release it in yourself. So take a deep breath. Put that energy in a big soccer ball and pop it. And sometimes you'll get these pictures, and it's kind of a joke with the beginning clairvoyant readers. It's like, okay, how many of these pictures could I possibly have? And it's like peeling an onion. There's layer upon layer that you may be working through. And so you get through one layer and you're like, oh, I'm done. And then bam, there's the next layer. And you're like, oh no, not again. Here we go. But you know what? That's how we get free as souls. We find some situation that triggers it. And that's how you get free. It gets triggered and you can blow that energy. So even in the middle of something happening, you can go, oh, I recognize this. Here's that same level of control, or here's that same level of, I'm taking responsibility for everyone around me again. Hey, it doesn't work. So you start to release that concept. Look at some concept in your life that you've already changed. Maybe you grew up with very strict rules about how you had to function in your society. And maybe at your age now, you don't have that same level of those same tight boundaries. Maybe you've opened them. You've become more aware. And just validate something that you've already switched in this lifetime. And take a deep breath. And again, put that huge gold sun up on top of your head, full of validation. Takes a lot of courage to really look inside and go, oh, I messed up there. And it's okay. We're supposed to make mistakes. It's how we learn. On the other side, they don't judge it as good and bad, right or wrong. It's what did you learn? What did you learn through that experience? And I really believe that's so true here, where you can have a big mistake that you made. And it's like, what did you learn from it? You're not meant to take it with you the rest of your life. But what have you learned? What have you grasped that has changed you? So give yourself permission to really look for some of these levels and have a little fun with them. Again, we tend as bodies to be very serious, where the soul inside of us has a lot of amusement. Souls love to play games. We set ourselves up so well, it's amazing. Because you're the author of this lifetime, just like you were last lifetime. And you get to decide how this life goes, how you want to write it. So if you're not having fun, I suggest you get your pen out or your computer and figure out how you want to change it. What direction do you want to take it in? What's the grand finale going to be? And sometimes this is also what's hard for us as spirit, is to watch. I would have picked a totally different death from my stepmother. I was like, wow, it's a tough one. It's tough to die kind of in pain and alone. I wouldn't have picked that for her. I would have picked something much gentler. But you know what? You have to allow a person their own creation. I'm sure, you know, in my lifetime in the dungeon, that wasn't a great death. Wasn't one of my better ones. So what do you learn by picking what you're picking? Give yourself a lot of permission to look at it and have a little fun with it. And again, if you're not liking your life, what are the steps you can do to start to change it? Because you do have that unlimited power as a spirit. So just for a minute, there's three, this doesn't even have to make sense to you. There's three little tiny rings above your head that we call the 3 creative rings. You can think of them kind of like halos, only not quite, but you can think of them that way. They have a little space between them. And just sit there and vibrate them. Just ask them to vibrate for a minute. And just let them remind you of your total ability as an immortal spirit, your divinity. And this, one of these rings is responsible for your gold sun. And just ask it to fill you with brand new life force energy, that you can be the biggest, brightest version of yourself this lifetime. What the heck? Why play small? Just vibrate those rings and fill yourself in from head to toe. And decide you're going to enjoy the rest of your life, that you're going to live it to its fullest, mistakes and all. Because, you know, being perfect would be kind of boring, don't you think? And just let that energy rain down all over you, fill the body and out into the aura. Just really deciding you love yourself. And the rest of this life is going to be a hoot. Not a bad place to be.